We've had 3 miscarriages. 2 we had in 2014, before we had our first successful pregnancy. And then our 3rd miscarriage was after our son had been born.
I remember going in now and sitting down with the lady on the machine, and there was this kind of like uneasy feeling that we had, like, oh, is this going to carry through? And then we sat down and she was on the machine, she did the scan, and I kind of just had this feeling when I looked at the lady's face. She was like, oh, things aren't the way they should be for this time along the pregnancy. And yeah, that was a big blow for us.
I think as well, because we had quite a long kind of fertility journey to get our first child, it just felt like it's going to be this again. You know, I guess I had kind of hoped, okay, maybe my body knows what to do now. Maybe this will be a lot easier this time. I'm not going to have miscarriages. I'm not going to have these kind of fertility problems or questions. And then when we had that miscarriage, it was just like that, just feeling so frustrated. It's hard when you're trying to have a baby and so much is reliant on the female. I mean, we're the ones who are having to carry the baby and have that successful journey to parenthood. For me especially, marrying into a Pacific family, you know, my perception of Pacific woman is that it's, you know, right or wrong, it's easy for them to have lots of children, and maybe in my head it was that their journey to having a baby is easier. And so I felt just like a failure really, that I couldn't live up to that.
I always felt a bit of pressure as well not from my family, and not because of them, but just because being a Samoan, it's very common to have big families. And so for me, I was like, we're going to have a big family too. And then you get married and then you start trying to have kids and you think they're going to come out straight away. And then you come across all these road bumps like miscarriage. I was like, man, what's a miscarriage? Like, what does that mean? But I just thought you just do the business, get the child, done. But it's a lot harder than that, eh? You know?
I think the fact that it had to be medically managed was awful, to be honest, because I guess the pregnancy had kind of miscarried, but my body hadn't kind of gotten rid of anything. So, yeah, I just had to go into the hospital and have medication that induced labour, basically. I had a really junior doctor manage the situation, and she was very clinical, and yeah, there wasn't a lot sort of offered, and I was there by myself. And going down that route of management, you know, that then there's a few days afterwards really where you're dealing with that. Like literally in the moment, you know, you're dealing with, okay, now I'm really miscarrying now. And I did feel quite alone in that experience. I don't think I really processed it at all. I just kind of kept on going and kept on with life and
left it to the side, eh?
Yeah.
I don't think I gave it enough time to acknowledge the miscarriage and the effects it probably had on Kate. Because in my head I was like, okay, that didn't work out, when's the next time we can try, and if that gets successful, the next 6 weeks will be here, so we're going to have the 6-week scan here, and then we'll find out whether or not that's successful. Like, that's all I was probably thinking about at the time, and not really taking into the fact that, hey, we've just miscarried, we need to grieve and give that time.
I think maybe part of why I just carried on is it's like, what are you supposed to do? You know, like if it was more normal, like it was just like, yeah, if you have a miscarriage, of course you should have 2 days off work, or of course you should go and find someone to talk to about it. But if you kind of don't know what you're supposed to do, or what you're supposed to be feeling, or what's it okay to do, if you're like me, you just power through it and you just think, well, maybe I'm supposed to just take it. But I think it does make me want to talk about it with other people, because it's always after you've had a miscarriage, when you're halfway through dealing with it, that you talk to someone and they tell you that they've been through it too. And it's such a shame that you I'm not that everyone has to share everything that they go through in their life, but I think if it was more normalised, then those yucky, horrible feelings of failure or disappointment, you know, you can still feel really sad and really gutted that it hasn't worked for you, but not those feelings of kind of failure.
Yeah, when it happened, I just remembered, like, who do you talk to? And I just remember thinking, who else has been through a similar experience? And it's not a question you ask people.
No, when you first meet, you know.
Hey, you say, have you had any miscarriages? Oh, you got 3 kids. Oh, did you have miscarriages before? It's just not part of the conversation, right?
No.
And then it wasn't until we started to let people know and to talk to people who had a similar experience where it started to normalise the fact that miscarriages happen and you're not such a failure. I think knowing that would really help. Otherwise, it can be pretty lonely, eh?
Yeah.
So I think in terms of how you offer support to people who are going through that, it's just be there for them. And if you've had a similar experience and it's appropriate to share it, and just encourage them to talk about it. Because I think for us in our experience, it really did help talking to other people about what we've been through to normalise the fact that we had miscarried.
Like just letting it be okay to be sad and letting it be okay to grieve and acknowledging that it's not a nice thing to happen.
When you're grieving by yourself, it's hard. But if you can grieve together, it makes it a bit easier.